Well, Canada has lifted another major barrier to travel. Starting today, fully vaccinated travelers no longer need to have a negative test to enter Canada. That applies to airports and the borders.
Absolutely. So for more reaction to this, we're joined live by the Mayor of Niagara Falls, Jim Diodati. Mayor Diodati, I'm sure you're breathing a sigh of relief this afternoon as this has happened. So are you seeing a steady stream of cars coming from the south across the bridges today?
Well, thanks for having me, Nick. And yes, it's definitely starting, but it's more of a trickle than anything. The way I describe it, it's kind of like when you get into a hot bath. You do it gradual. So we think it's going to be a general education. We need to let everybody know about the rules. There has been such a labyrinth of rules and regulations. People are more confused than anything. The one other thing, Nick, that we are pressing the federal government to move on is the removal of the Arrive Can Pass requirement, because I've received so many calls. We've got 1 million snowbirds returning back to Canada. A lot of them have flip phones. They don't have digital technology at their fingertips. They're pretty upset. They said, if I can prove that I'm a Canadian and I'm fully vaccinated, I've got my booster, you know, that's pushing it a little bit. So there's a lot of concern, frustration, and consternation around that last piece. Definitely a move in the right direction. We just still need a little bit more help to make sure that we can open up the taps a little bit more to allow people easier free flow across that border.
All right, and Mayor Diodati, if you can just talk about all the businesses in the Niagara Falls region that has really taken a hit during this pandemic, but maybe give us a picture of how these kind of travel restrictions, this pre-COVID-19 arrival testing has impacted the state of tourism in Niagara Falls.
Yeah, Jennifer, it's been very difficult. We've had 2 devastating seasons. Niagara Falls is the #1 leisure destination in the country. We get 14 million people here every year, and typically 50% of the revenue comes from the U.S. So we essentially turn the taps to tourism off. It's a $100 billion plus industry, and in Niagara, 40,000 people count on tourism to feed their families. So it's been devastating. People say, is tourism important? It's pretty hard not to be when you're right next door to one of the great natural wonders. So it's right up there with oxygen for importance, and we need to get it flowing. We've had 2 devastating years. This needs to be our rebound year. So far, Jennifer, all signs are positive. We had a great Valentine's Day weekend and Family Day weekend, and spring break was back to 2019 numbers. We're hoping the trend continues. A lot of businesses have been devastated. Many are just hanging on into their lines of credit. If it wasn't for government subsidies, they would have definitely gone out of business. So they're all now done with their government subsidies. They now need to stand on their own, and that requires tourism to bounce back. We've had enough nature-created problems. We don't need any man-made problems with extra restrictions at the border. Certainly, if they don't help us to become any safer, there's no rationale for them. Why complicate things? Let's make things simple, and then let's communicate that to all the traveling public.
All right, great to get that update from Niagara Falls this afternoon. That's the Mayor, Jim Diodati, joining us. Thanks again, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.